Right, okay guys, so I'm going to show you how easy it is to go out and catch your first fish, or a fish, or a wrasse on float. There we go, there's my rod. So, we've got options. If I was to go out and catch a fish, I would be told I need to go out and catch a fish, it'd be on a float. They work well for beginners simply because you don't have to contend with rocks or snags, and it's a really fun way of fishing. I've got a little spinning rod here, little low rod, and my main line, whether it's mono or braid. In the float packs, you will have some rubber stops like this. To start with, you want to put a float stop up your line. Now, because this is braid, it is catching and it will hold. I'm just going to stick another one on, just so that the float doesn't slide up with casting or tide. There we go. So that is the main line from my rod, and I've got two float stops there. Two rubber stops, two bait stops, the universal. The next thing you want to do is thread your chosen float. Ignore my nails, guys, I was sorting bait out. Not the easiest thing to do with braid, but pop your float on. So remember, this is still on your main line, this is the line coming off your reel. So you've now got two rubber stops, your float, so that'll stop it going any further up unless you move, where is it? Unless you move them floats manually, which is how you will set and adjust your depth depending on where you're fishing, state of tide. So that's where we're at now. Float stops, float, nothing else on the end. In every pack you'll get a little ball lead, usually about ½ ounce that, and they will be tailored to whichever float is in the pack. If there is a bit of tide, you don't want to be getting false bites, and also a nice buoyant float. When the fish takes your bait, it's going to hook itself because it's a bit of resistance. So next up, to protect, try again, so you'll feed your weight on. So now we've got rubber stop, float, weight. Now to protect the knot that you're about to do, just a little bead. So there you go. Let me just slide these float stops down. And that is 80% of your float setup done. There'll be a lot of people who've got different ways of doing it, but all you want is your float on your main line, and something to be able to adjust it, whether that's because you're going to go to different marks or the tide's coming up or coming down. I'm going to put a swivel onto my main line now, which will trap that off. Because it's braid, I'll give it a few extra turns, but just a simple blood knot. And that is it. That is 90% of our float setup done. Float stops, float, lead, bead, swivel. So that's the basis of it. And we're going to add some fluorocarbon or monofilament, whatever. Fluoro's obviously going to be a better option. It's slightly, wrasse aren't the cleverest of fish, neither are pollock. If they see a bait, they're going to smack it. But that there is our float on our main line, and I'll just show you. That's it. So let's add a length of line. In every pack you'll be given hook length, so your leader line. That will be around 15 to 20 pound. Now that might sound excessive, but remember you're putting your float and your bait in and amongst snags, kelp, seaweed, you name it, because that's where the wrasse are. Attaching the hook length to the swivel, simple blood knot. We're 95% done. So the bead, stopper bead, float, lead, bead for protection, swivel. Now this bit, I would always set at the minimum depth that you're going to actually fish at. So you want 3.5, 4 foot of line, fluoro or mono, that's what you want. And to complete it, a hook. Now hooks, everyone will have their own different opinions, different choices. This is a size 4 Aberdeen style. Now these are what come in the packs. You can speak to anyone in here and they will show you different styles of hooks. We've got Chinoo's, we've got literally everything you can see behind me. But for the ballons especially and the pollock, a good size 4-0, not 4-0, nice size 4. Again, simple blood knot. And that is our completed setup. So when you're casting,
yeah, we need to have a plan aside.
At 4 foot, 3.5, 4 foot. What you can do, so that will sit now, if you don't move them float stops, that will fish at 4 foot. If you're fishing a deeper mark, you can slide that up, and the rubber beads are small enough to pass through most end eyes. So now I'm fishing that, because I've slid it up, I'm fishing that at about, I don't know, 6 foot. And that is your setup for a full day of fishing out on the rocks. And the beauty of it is that this will probably be, should be, a lower breaking strain than your mainline. So if you were unlucky enough to get this stuck in any kelp, stuck in the rocks, all you're going to lose is the hook length as opposed to the whole setup. So one float will do you for a full day's fishing. You could buy an extra pack of hooks and an extra little spool of line, and you've got an insurance. But that's literally it. So I'll show you now. We're going to get down on the rocks and hopefully catch a fish. I'll see you in a bit. Right, so I'll just quickly show you how to put one of these on the hook. So yeah, as a lot of you know, ragworm will give you a nip, which that one's doing now. And I'm going a bit mad. You see the top bit? Put the hook straight down. Anne-Marie's watching me now going, she's gipping. Feed that all the way down. I am doing this in the shop and all the blood is going everywhere. So that's how it's come out there. Now what I do, just to keep it on for casting, just wrap it back round into the worm. And that is one ragworm ready to cast out. I don't know what I'm going to do with that because I filmed this after the video and I've now got a ragworm on a hook. Yeah. And that's it. We're down on the rocks and there's a bit of wind, bit of breeze. Sea's nice and flat, the wind's coming over our heads. It's not an onshore wind, so there's no real danger of being swept off the rocks here. You do, however, need to be careful. You need to make sure you're comfortable enough on the rocks, you're wearing decent footwear. Now this time of year, don't let the shorts fool you, it is only March. We've had a few dry days, the rocks aren't slippy at all, and I've got a decent pair of trainers on. I'm comfortable in them, pair of walking boots, anything like that. Studs aren't necessary unless you feel like they are. And yeah, so we've seen the setup, we've seen the bait. I'll show you a bit of the terrain and where the wrasse and the pollock will be hiding out. Sorry, I keep looking that way because I have got a float in the water. And again, show you, if I'm not already showing you, how you adjust the float using the little rubber stoppers, how to hook the worm, how to put your bait on. You can use other baits as well. Worm is a good bait for scratching around the rocks for the smaller species. You could use mackerel belly, sand eel, whatever. I've caught them on limpets, mussel. If the fish are there and they're hungry, they'll eat it. Well, that's the plan anyway. The mark we're at now, I can almost see bluefin from. It's some posh who hadn't put a massive big £2 million house in the way. I swear I could probably see bluefin. Apart from Trout Bay Beach, which obviously is you could spit at from the bluefin, not like you would, but I'm just saying it's close. This is one of your closest rock marks. In terms of venues for finding wrasse, rocky, kelpie, places that they can get in the predatory fish, and they will hide in all the little nooks and crannies in the kelp and predate on anything that swims past. You'll get them on shrimp, prawns. They feed on all kinds, small crabs. They're not fussy fish. Cameron is with me. He's just down the side. He's got a little drop shot rod, a little bits of ragworm on. So we'll see which method, if any, pull out a wrasse. So yeah, not trying to teach you to suck eggs, guys. I know a lot of you people know this. This is the basics. Oh, there we go. Is that a fish? Is that a fish? Go on. No? Because I wasn't watching that then, guys, a fish took it and it took it down into the kelp or a rock, and it's proper hammered that worm. But yeah, like I said, I'm not trying to teach you to suck eggs. This is just a fun little video to show people how easy it is to actually get out and get fishing. You don't need hundreds of pounds worth of gear. You just need a little bit of know-how and a bit of patience. There you go. There's a ragworm tail. It's quite a big bait actually, to be fair. It's not, you won't class that as a big bait, but I'm not after the little cork wing wrasse. I'm after them big chunky ballon wrasse that are lurking about down there. I'll show you now what I'm aiming for here, what I'm looking for. There's a rock that I know from snorkeling here and fishing here before. I know there's a massive 5-6 foot gap, like a shelf, like a plateau under that. I know the wrasse are under there. I'm aiming for the snags. I know that sounds silly. With a float you can kind of keep it above them, but I'm aiming for the snags. That's where the fish are. But I'll be cocky and see if I can get it there from up here. Pretty perfect, I'd say. I do always loosen off my drag a little bit because I have had wrasse that give you a hell of a scrap. And big pollock as well doing this. This method isn't discriminatory, whatever. You'll get all kinds doing this. When the mackerel are in, if you go to a breakwater or a harbour or in and around the rocks where the mackerel are, you'll get mackerel on it too. Still a bit early in the year for this type of fishing. Come summer, these rocks will be alive. There'll be fish everywhere. At the minute, it's quiet. I've seen a couple of reports yesterday of some nice big ballons that came off just up the coast. So yeah, thought why not? Let's give it a try. Some of the simplest fishing you can do this, guys, it really is. Keep your line nice and tight to the float, not too tight, but you don't want a massive bow in the line. You don't want your line all across the top of the water. If the fish picks that up and you strike, you've not got that connection and you might miss a fish. It's not easy to keep your line, keep connected to the float all the time because you've got tide, you've got wind. Do your best, as long as when you give it a little strike, and you don't want to be ripping its head off. You want to be lifted into the fish. Been here about 10-15 minutes now, and apart from obviously me assuming that was a fish that took that into the kelp, which I'm certain it is because I'm not putting any drop shot by the hook. I can actually see my worm floating about underneath, just about. So I know it's over the kelp. I know the pollock and the wrasse will come up out of the kelp. Now, I did just miss a bite then. I actually watched the fish come out the kelp and take my worm, and it wasn't a massive fish. I think I need to stop being so fussy, going for the bigger ones, and I'm putting a smaller hook on. If you use a nice small, that is very small, a nice small but strong hook, you'll get the bigger fish and the smaller fish. So we can get a couple of small fish on the bank, and on the bank, I'm not a carp fisherman, on the rocks, and then we'll try and switch it up and maybe pick out some of the bigger fish, but I have only got another half an hour or so now, so we'll give it a try. And that there is a beautiful little cork wing wrasse. Stunning fish. Right, I'm slipping back. Right, well, we found where the fish are. Try and get another one. Yeah, oh, I took it straight away, that. Straight away, it did. Oh, there we go. And there we go, they're like buses, they're coming thick and fast now. That there is a beautiful, slightly smaller little wrasse. Winner! Right, and that's it now. I've got to get back to the shop. So that was pretty much exactly an hour. 2 fish, which isn't brilliant. In summer you'd get a lot more. And we've missed loads. Cameron's just been down with a GoPro. Hopefully we've got a couple of takes on camera. We nearly landed a couple, but they were very, very small fish. But anyway, I'll see you back in the shop. And as I mentioned before, guys, there is different species, different ways of float fishing. I have got a few videos on my channel. Obviously, as you can see, the garfish, they're really fun on the float. Really simple, probably the easiest float fishing you can do. Incredibly fun to catch. Bass fishing, so I do a lot of bass fishing from the shore with float and live prawn, also from the boat, as you can see here, with a bubble and a live mackerel. So it's all float fishing. You don't really lose gear, plenty of sport, you're not using big heavy leads that kill the fight. Awesome, absolutely awesome fun. Get out and try it.